The city lights stretch out as far as the eye can see under the night sky. High above it all, a luxury penthouse sits filled with supercars and a high-tech setup. The owner thinks this life is absolutely awesome. A man admires his legendary golden armor through his phone screen, feeling like he's on top of the world. But back in reality, he's just a guy sitting in a dark room surrounded by monitors. He can't help but smirk when he looks at his incredible in-game gear. The dude starts laughing to himself, completely full of his own success. He's having a blast scrolling through his phone while it vibrates with notifications. But then, his chair slips right out from under him. He hits the floor hard with a loud crash, his chair toppling right along with him. He picks up his phone only to find the screen completely shattered across the image of his golden warrior. He just laughs it off, figuring he can easily buy a brand new one with his earnings. Then his expression shifts as he notices who's actually calling him. It's a message from Heart Heater, and the demand is simple: pay back the debt. He sighs, knowing this guy is always on time with his threats. He stares at the screen with a look of pure annoyance, knowing he can't ignore this. He stands up in the dim light of his room, finally ready to get to work. The guy walks over to his bed, deciding it's time to dive back into the game. He lays down and connects his headphones, letting the system take over. His eyes drift shut as the login process begins. Welcome to the world of lucid adventure. Back in the digital world, that confident smirk is back on his face. He is Hardcore Leveling Warrior, the #1 ranked player, and he's returned to his kingdom. He struts through the town, his golden boots clinking against the cobblestones. Everyone in the street starts whispering as they realize who just arrived. He ignores the gossip, acting like a total celebrity who's just passing through because he's bored. He tells the staring crowd to get a life and stop drooling over his rare armor. He keeps moving with a cheerful skip in his step, soaking in the fame. Suddenly, a small, bare foot steps out and blocks his path. A tiny, wide-eyed newbie named Choco Pork Stew looks up at him and asks for 10 gold. The other players are horrified that a low-level nobody would dare beg from the server's top player. Hardcore Leveling Warrior stops and looks down, repeating the request under his breath. He starts rummaging through his inventory like he's actually looking for some change. The crowd is stunned, wondering if the legendary warrior is actually going to be generous for once. He pulls out a heavy, bulging pouch that's clearly worth more than 10 gold. He drops a bag labeled for 1,000 gold right in front of the kid. The newbie is practically crying with joy, thanking him over and over again. Then, in a split second, a massive critical hit slams into the kid. He looks down at the dying newbie and admits that he absolutely hates beggars. The crowd screams as a massive guard NPC stomps over to stop the killing. Before the guard can reach him, he tosses a pouch of 100 gold straight at the man's head. The guard catches the bag and gives a quick thumbs up, suddenly losing all interest in the crime. While the onlookers are still in shock, Hardcore Leveling Warrior just sneaks away into the city. High above the kingdom, smoke drifts from a lonely pipe into the clear blue sky. Down at the quest house, things are strictly business. Heart Heater is calculating a massive payment. A stack of paper sits on a wooden desk, waiting for a signature that could change everything. Heart Heater, a notorious moneylender with a sharp eye patch, mentions that an SS-level quest should finally clear the debt. His assistant, a quiet boy named Rim, focuses on pouring tea with steady hands. Hardcore Leveling Warrior kicks back in the office, looking totally unbothered by the dangerous task ahead. Heart Heater leans in, his expression cold as he admits he has no patience for idiots. To him, the worst people are the ones who try to run away from what they owe. The warrior just stares back, his eyes sharp and ready for whatever terms are coming next. On the wall behind them, several severed fingers are pinned up with screws, a grim warning of what happens to those who fail to pay Heart Heater back. The moneylender ignores the morbid decor and tells his guests there's one more contract to deal with before they can start. Rim stands by silently, his eyes hidden as he waits for his master's next order. He steps forward and hands over a contract, telling the warrior to read it carefully. Hardcore Leveling Warrior takes the document, but he doesn't seem interested in the fine print. He barely glances at the words while the assistant watches him closely. With a quick swoosh of his pen, he signs his name in bold letters, bypassing all the warnings. He stands up and declares that he's the best, and a little contract isn't going to stop him. His eyes burn with a fierce intensity as he demands the quest details immediately. Heart Heater just smirks, liking the spirit of someone who signs their life away without reading the terms. In an instant, the warrior is transported to a frozen wasteland where a massive dark python waits for its next meal. The monster bares its razor-sharp fangs, dripping with ancient hunger. But the warrior doesn't hesitate. He charges straight at the beast with his sword drawn. The python laughs, boasting that its body is overflowing with a venom that can kill anything in seconds. With a sickening crunch, the monster lunges forward to crush the golden knight in its jaws. It gloats about his certain death, thinking it's already won the fight. The beast's slit pupil eye narrows as it prepares to swallow its prey whole. Suddenly, a series of red slashes erupt from the monster's throat as the warrior cuts his way out. The giant serpent is torn into pieces, its body falling apart in a shower of green blood. A massive shockwave ripples through the air, marking the end of the legendary beast. Hardcore leveling warrior lands on his feet, looking more annoyed about the blood on his boots than the actual fight. He cheers for himself, happy that the quest is over and the big payout is coming. He taps through his system menus to confirm the kill and claim his rewards. Then he starts yelling in a panic, realizing his pristine armor is covered in monster guts. He does some quick math and realizes cleaning this legendary gear is going to cost him a fortune. He manages to wipe it down, relieved to see his golden suit shining once again. But as he's celebrating his clean look, a group of dark silhouettes appears on the ridge behind him. A gang of players stares down at him with greedy grins, thinking they've caught him at a weak moment. They surround the #1 player, calling him an idiot for being so careless. Hardcore leveling warrior just sighs and raises a hand, a ball of intense solar energy forming in his palm. He looks them dead in the eye with a terrifying grin, whispering the name of his spell, Hellfire. A massive pillar of flame erupts, engulfing the entire area in a blinding explosion. One of the survivors watches in absolute terror, unable to even comprehend what kind of power he's dealing with. As the dust and debris settle from the massive blast, desperate cries for fallen teammates echo through the shattered landscape. One of the survivors stares into the smoke, his eyes wide as he realizes the sheer scale of the destruction. Hardcore leveling. Warrior's gaze is cold and unwavering, his patience for these interruptions long since exhausted. A terrified priest clutches his staff, trembling as he finally recognizes the legendary rancor standing before him. "Pour it all on him!" another shouts as the remaining group, desperate for a lucky hit, charges forward in a frantic wave. The warrior's red eye narrows, tracking every movement with the precision of a seasoned predator. He looks at the mob with pure disdain, mocking the noobs from across the server who think numbers alone can defeat him. Arrows and spears fly through the air, but he doesn't even bother to raise his shield. He moves like liquid, a series of miss notifications appearing as every single projectile passes harmlessly through his afterimage. Even with dozens of attacks raining down, not a single blade finds its mark against the golden armor champion. The attackers can only watch in disbelief as their best efforts fail to even scratch his armor. A sinister red glow begins to emanate from the warrior as he prepares to show them the true difference in their levels. A heavy blade shatters instantly upon contact with his fist, the sound of breaking steel ringing across the mountain. Fragments of the weapon fly off into the snow, a clear testament to his overwhelming defensive stats. Then the counterattack begins, a single blindingly fast horizontal strike that cuts through the front line like paper. In an instant, the entire group of attackers is reduced to falling pieces, their avatars graying out as they are eliminated from the fight. Armor, weapons, and limbs are tossed into the air as the sheer force of his momentum clears the battlefield. One final, clean slash ends the encounter, leaving nothing but silence and the falling snow behind. He follows through with a powerful downward strike, ensuring not a single enemy is left standing. Phew, he sighs, planting his heavy sword into the ground and looking out over the field of fallen noob. A wet, squelching sound from behind interrupts his moment of peace, and he mutters that he knew it wouldn't be that easy. He turns back toward the defeated monster, annoyed that the stupid python is still causing trouble. The beast has undergone a grotesque transformation, rising as a massive zombie dragon with rotting flesh and glowing, hateful eyes. It seems the creature used its own spilled blood to draw a summoning field, ascending to a much deadlier state. "That's why it was an SS-level quest," he remarks, while a small, round-faced newbie in blue overalls starts rummaging through the loot. The little scavenger, identified as level 3 Choco Pork Stew, scampers across the bodies, hoping to find a treasure while the ranker is distracted. "Hey, you!" the warrior shouts, finally noticing the bold little thief among the carnage. He tells the newbie to get lost while they still have a chance, turning his back to refocus on the dragon. But the warrior's attention is quickly drawn back as the small character suddenly turns toward him with a strange intensity. A jagged dagger is thrown with impossible speed, whistling through the air straight for the Golden Knight. With a casual flick of his hand, hardcore leveling warrior catches the blade between his fingers before it can strike his face. But then his eyes widen in genuine shock as he feels an unexpected sensation from the metal. A jagged red energy crackles from the dagger, burning into his gauntlet and locking his arm in place. A digital glitch begins to tear through the appearance of the Choco Pork Stew character as a mocking voice asks if he really thought he'd win forever. The disguise shatters completely, revealing a stunning woman with long, wavy silver hair and golden eyes, the mysterious woman. She smirks at him, her true form radiating a level of power that rivals even his own. Red lightning surges through the warrior's body and he panics, wondering how a low-level attack is causing this much damage. He is slammed into the ground by an invisible force, coughing as the shock of the ambush takes its toll. Blood splatters onto the white snow, marking the first time the #1 player has been truly wounded in a long time. The mysterious woman stands over him, spinning her deadly daggers with a confident, predatory grace. She leans down and whispers that he finally lost at his own game, her eyes glowing with a dark triumph. Trapped and weakened, hardcore leveling warrior can only look up at her in disbelief, demanding to know who she really is. The mysterious woman's hand tightens into a fist, dark energy crackling around her fingers as she prepares a final, brutal blow. With a sickening sick sound, her punch connects squarely with hardcore leveling warrior's face, the impact rippling through his head. "Don't be so rude," she mocks, as the legendary ranker's face distorts under the force of the strike, teeth flying out into the cold air. Blood sprays across the snow from the sheer brutality of the attack, leaving no doubt about the woman's lethal intention. Bang! The warrior is sent sprawling backward, his body tumbling uselessly across the frozen ground. Bruised and broken, one eye already swollen shut, hardcore leveling warrior stammers out a weak question, unable to understand why this is happening to him. She grabs him roughly by his red hair, forcing him to look at the green dagger she holds. "Oh, you don't take any damage when you wear those items, right?" she sneers. Clank, clank! The sound of legendary armor being forcibly unequipped rings out, leaving the hero vulnerable and exposed. The once great champion is left huddled in the snow, stripped of the golden armor that defined his status as the #1 player. He lets out a gut-wrenching scream of despair that echoes across the mountains, mourning the loss of the legendary items he worked so hard to acquire. Thumb! Without a shred of mercy, the mysterious woman drives her heel into the warrior's back, pinning him face first into the freezing ground. Even in this pathetic state, he quivers with rage, shouting that he's the top-ranked hardcore leveling warrior and that he will kill her for this. She looks down at him with cold golden eyes, her silver hair whipping in the wind. "You'll know soon enough," she says, dismissing his threats as meaningless. As she turns to leave, she tells him that he'll go crazy trying to find her again, leaving him alone in the shadow of the monster he failed to defeat. He stares up at her with a look of pure, unadulterated hatred, his pride shattered along with his armor. The mysterious woman offers one last chilling glance over her shoulder, completely unimpressed by the fallen hero. Ugh! He coughs up blood, his strength failing as the poison takes its final toll. Behind him, the massive zombie dragon looms, its rotting jaw unhinging as it prepares to swallow him whole. "Good luck," the woman calls out casually as she walks away. She reminds him of the game's ultimate penalty. Once he dies, all of his legendary stats will be reset to level 1. "Am I right?" she asks playfully, knowing exactly the kind of living hell she has just condemned him to. Hardcore leveling warrior watches his death approach in the form of the dragon Shadow, his face pale with the realization of what he's about to lose. "Thanks for the items," she chirps, disappearing into the blizzard with her ill-gotten loot. "Damn it! I'll kill you!" he screams one last time, a futile roar against the inevitable end. This city is absolutely packed today. Down in Food Alley, there's a massive line of people waiting to eat. Everyone is just focused on getting their hands on some food. This is Sora. She's been training in the mountains for an entire year and she's starving. She's holding ticket number 87 and she's only got eyes for one thing, the Yopi grilled skewers. The vendor calls out number 82 and the crowd starts moving. She's practically crying just looking at the menu, dragon meat and eggplant with 5 flavors. She watches as the people ahead of her walk away with their skewers. The line keeps ticking down, person by person. Finally, it's ticket 87's turn. Sora steps up to the counter, ready for her prize. Suddenly, a giant hand reaches over and grabs her food. This huge guy in green armor just stomps right past, bumping Sora out of the way. He just laughs and starts walking off with her skewer like it belongs to him. Sora stares him down and asks if he's ready to die. The big guy is completely confused by the threat. Then he realizes she's actually serious. She tells him the first hit is for taking her food, and the second one is to cover his hospital bills. Sora kicks him square in the hand, launching the skewer into the air. The guy is shocked that someone so small could be that fast. She flips over him and catches her lunch mid-air. The big guy gets sent flying right through a brick wall. She's been waiting a whole year for this. She takes a huge bite and is instantly in heaven. She's absolutely stuffing her face, completely ignoring the guy she just destroyed. She's not even slowing down to breathe. The skewer is gone in seconds. She's so happy she already wants another one. But then the ground starts rumbling and the crowd begins to panic. Sora pauses to see what all the fuss is about. Everyone is looking at a scene in the middle of the street. She wipes her mouth and joins the onlookers. Her eyes widen when she sees what's happening. A guy with red hair is being held by a massive, muscular arm. The guy is hanging there, totally helpless in the air. This is the hardcore leveling warrior, though he's seen better days. He throws a desperate punch with everything he's got. It's a clean swing, and he misses a tiny slime about 10 times in a row. Welcome to level 1. Punch after punch, he throws everything he's got at the tiny pink slime. The monster looks completely bored as every single hit misses. He keeps swinging until his stamina bar hits 0. He collapses onto the grass, completely spent. His whole body is trembling as he lies face down in the dirt. Just yesterday, he was the strongest player in the world, and now his stats are all back to 1. A guy walks up, thinking he's just found a helpless newbie. The man calls over his buddy, asking if the kid is all right. Hardcore leveling warrior tells him to get lost. The guy is taken aback by the attitude from someone who's clearly struggling. He thinks the voice sounds familiar. His eyes go narrow as he starts to piece it together. He grabs the red hair and yanks the guy's head back to get a look at his face. He recognizes him instantly and lets out a nasty grin. Next thing you know, a huge crowd has gathered around the fallen hero, who's now tied to a post. Everyone is laughing, enjoying the humiliation of the guy who used to be at the top. A guy with green hair tells his buddy to keep healing the warrior so they can keep going. The warrior demands they let him loose first if they're actually going to heal him. He's trying to cut a deal for a scroll he lost. Instead of a release, he gets hit with a green wave of healing magic. The green-haired guy kicks him right in the chest while telling him that if he dies, he'll just be logged out. The warrior coughs up blood, cursing his luck. The crowd isn't finished yet. One kick isn't enough to settle the score. A glowing staff prepares another heal as the beating continues. Everyone here has some kind of grudge against the man who used to be rank 1. It's a complete free-for-all as everyone takes turns punching and kicking the tied-up warrior. The green-haired guy asks the crowd if they've had enough yet. He warns the warrior to stay off the grid and quit the game for good. Battered and bloody, the warrior swears he'll beat them all once he gets his power back. He lets out a final grunt as they finally walk away. The ropes give way, and he slumps to the ground with a heavy thud. Another flash of healing magic hits him from out of nowhere. He's startled as his wounds begin to close. He's shaking as he yells for everyone to just stop it. A new voice speaks up from the shadows. The warrior looks up, wondering who's talking to him now. Standing there is Heart Heater, looking down on him with a look of pure disgust. Standing behind him is Rim. He says he heard exactly what went down. He asks if it's true that the great warrior has lost everything. The warrior tries to play it off as a simple mistake, but Heart Heater doesn't care about excuses. Heart Heater looks over at Rim and gives him a subtle nod. Rim reaches down and grabs the warrior by his collar. Rim lifts him off the ground effortlessly. Heart Heater calls him an idiot, reminding him that he's always late with his payments. Rim grips his throat as Heart Heater explains that this money isn't just a game, it has real value in their world. Suddenly, a hand flips a small rod with practiced rhythmic ease. Sora's eyes flash with intense focus as she leaps into the middle of the confrontation. With a powerful spinning kick, she breaks the hold on the fallen warrior and sends the attackers reeling. Rim draws his heavy blade with a sharp metallic ring, his expression hardening. Sora stands her ground, a dark silhouette against the red sky, brandishing her own large weapon as she faces Rim. "Who are you?" someone yells, stunned by the girl's sudden interference. In a blur of motion, Sora draws her blade, the steel catching the light as it leaves its sheath. Sparks fly in every direction as Sora and Rim trade a flurry of high-speed strikes, their swords clashing repeatedly. Sora looks back momentarily, a slight blush on her cheeks as she speaks. "He's precious to me," she declares, standing protectively over the defeated hardcore leveling warrior. The hardcore leveling warrior looks up at her in total bewilderment. "Who are you?"